Okay, Katrin, do you think we are good to go?
Sure, let's do
Okay,
it.
perfect. Thank you. Yeah, hi everyone. Great to be with you here. My name is Jochen. I'm here together with my colleague Katrin, and for this webinar, Going Agentic, Staying Human. And so I just start with a short introduction so you know who's hosting these webinars today. Yeah, my name is Jochen Lenhof. I'm with Minesoft since 2004, and I'm currently look after our German clients in also Switzerland and Austria, of course, with my team here in Neuss, which is close to Düsseldorf in the middle of Germany. It's wonderful weather outside, it's very sunny. And yeah, and of course, so part of our work is also with our colleagues from our US team and in the UK from London, that we are trying to be an active exchange with the IP community, with the market, and to understand what are your requirements, what are new technology that could be helpful to be integrated in new developments or enhancement of our current solutions. And so to make your work as efficient as good as possible. So, and this webinar is part of this exchange today. And yeah, so I would like to say welcome, Katrin.
All right, then I guess I'll introduce myself as well. My name is Katrin Weißenberger. I'm joining today from Berlin, and I joined Minesoft last year as a product consultant, and my world is the technical side of pattern intelligence, how search systems work, and most especially how we can get AI architectures to be built within our products and workflows. So my main focus and my main driver is building pattern platforms that users enjoy with features that empower rather than overwhelm. Anything to add, Jochen?
Yeah, just a formal comment. So we have the chats open. So if you want to drop a comment or have some questions, we try to keep an eye on it, and hopefully we have some time left at the end to answer some of these questions. And if not, we will definitely reach out after the webinar and follow them up, of course. So today we would like to take you on a journey about what we think and what we think means working with AI agents and also with multi-agentic AI in the world of patterns. And you have heard from our intros, we have some experience in the patterns and patterns analytics, IP strategy and technology innovations. But more importantly, we are still very excited about this and also about these new opportunities. So, which hopefully comes out through today. So, Katrin, let's start.
Yeah, so thanks, Jochen. I want to stay on this title slide for just a while longer. Going agentic, staying human, because I think it says something very important right at the beginning. And I'm also very sure that each one of you guys have been on a version of this webinar where you're being told that AI is going to transform everything. Your job will look unrecognizable in just a couple of years. We will not be doing that kind of webinar. Of course, we have to acknowledge that if AI is well designed, you will save time, you will see efficiency gains, and the hours that you normally spend on manual prior art searches, finding your insights, cross-referencing, all the good stuff, that kind of work gets faster. No questions asked here, sometimes even dramatically so. But we're not going to pretend otherwise. We're just showcasing a different side of that story. So we want to let you in on that journey where we explore what happens when AI is built around the user, when we let AI do the repetitive, the manual work. So not so you can process more tasks per hour, but to actually reflect on where your expertise can shine. So you can provide the strategic insights, the judgment, the reading between the lines that humans do so well, but currently no AI model can replicate. And that's the conversation we would like to have. We will do some definitions in the beginning, and then we will present you some options. So let's dive right in. Before we showcase our recent developments, I want to make sure that we're speaking the same language, because agentic AI agents and so on, that's a phrase that's a bit overused at the moment. So let's clarify what it actually means and why you should care. We've put 3 different types of AI on the screen, and I'll just walk you through that and what it means for patent platforms today. I'm very, very sure that almost everyone, or even 100% of people on this call, have used a chatbot, maybe even within Patbase or Origin, for example, document chat or results chat. Essentially, you type in a question and you get an answer. Very, very straightforward. They are powered by a large language model, or LLM for short, which is a system that's trained on absolutely enormous quantities of data, mostly text. And it has learned to represent the statistical patterns of human language at absolutely extraordinary scale. They're fast, they're super, super impressively fluent, and they've become super useful when it comes to surfacing summaries, filtering user results, saving you time on items that back in the days would have required a lot of manual work and also expertise. But here's what matters when it comes to only LLM-based approaches such as these chatbots. They answer entirely from memory. So everything it tells you comes from that frozen snapshot of its training data. It cannot go live into a database and perform a task for you. So it cannot take action. It just patiently waits for your answer and then confidently answers it. So it waits for your question and then answers it. That was the right grammar. Let's look at the next step. And I'm not saying each of these modules are better than the other. Let's have a look at AI agents. That's where it gets a bit more interesting, different flavor. An AI agent is still built on a single LLM at its core, but the difference now it's the LLM has been given tools. For example, a search API, a database where it can look up things, maybe a document reader, and so on. And more importantly, it is given a complete task rather than just a prompt or a question. So instead of answering a simple question, it can plan a task, it can execute it across multiple steps. You can kind of imagine that the difference is more like asking someone a question or asking them to handle a task for you. And Jochen will show you what that looks like in his live demo with our novelty checker in just a few moments. And the novelty checker is a specialized AI agent that's designed for initial screening and triage, built to absolutely quickly surface the most relevant prior art that an examiner would also find. So this bit of technology is fast, focused, and immediately useful. Next step up would be a multi-agent system, or agentic AI, which is what we're developing with our Maya system that is launching in summer. It takes a bit of a different approach. Instead of having one LLM that does everything, we have multiple specialist agents working in parallel, each owning their part of the workflow. It's also orchestrated by a coordinator or an orchestrator that checks the work of the individual specialists, and it communicates to the user. Where the novelty checker, the bit that Jochen will show, is built for speed and triage, a multi-AI system or multi-agent system is built to emulate how a thorough human pattern searcher would approach their work. So aiming for more exhaustive strategy, coverage, and also complex combinations and so on. one thing coming back to our initial message, the human in the system, and I want you to hold on to that part, is we haven't eliminated the human, even though we're striving for more automation. In fact, for our agentic setup, we've deliberately built in human checkpoints into that process. So you're not removed, but you're put exactly where your judgment is the most valuable. And I will show you more of that later. So different tools, very deliberate design choices, and for now, I'll move over to let Jochen do his first demo.
Okay, thank you, Katrin. Yeah, that's one I was waiting for. So it's the novelty checker I'm showing you today, which has been launched last week. So just to recapture, what is the idea behind it? And I I assume that all of you who join in this call today work either in or around patents, and you may have come to this situation where an inventor comes to you with this new idea. And the first question is always like, oh, has it been done before? And the honest answer is, if you haven't done a proper search, you don't know. So, and then there's a gap between just the idea that comes up and the first substantive opinion on the novelty. And there's time that can be lost. So, and even if it takes days for the initial view, and then the inventor, which specifically, if he doesn't have any deep IP knowledge, understand the process, or can feel for him as a black box. So, and this novelty checker is designed to close this gap. And to show you how it works, I'm just sharing my screen. And you should be able to see my screen now. So this is the entry point for the novelty search. So it's a very simple interface. So there's no specific learning curve. There's no any special language you need to know. You just have to add an idea, anything that you come up with, and your invention disclosure. So you want to put it in here and make this check. So for this live presentation, I just take my own invention, and I already mentioned it, how the weather is at the moment very nice, very sunny. So you may have faced this problem as well. You're on the road, you're on where you want to drink something. So how do you open a bottle? And of course, this is it's a brilliant idea, and we just want to see how good it actually is. So, and the idea that is so simple, it's on purpose, of course, because we don't want to put in any hurdles. We want to make it as easy as possible, and just in plain language and plain text, you just put in what your idea is about. So if I now check the novelty, I just take seconds, but it runs now over the complete database, 190 million documents. So it's not just a sample set we have here, it's the full database we are using here. And then, it comes up with my report. Just walk you through how it looks like. Of course, there's the idea on top of it, and then you already have the opinion. So in plain language, it gives you a summary of what actually comes up. It also references some of the prior art already that is mentioned here. It has an anticipation analysis as well. It gives you an assessment. It puts out some novel aspects as well. So this is very easy to follow and understand what the outcome is. And unfortunately, it's not really novel. It's a bit expected. So obviously someone else came up with it, but it's a very clear structured answer. And it's not only an opinion we're seeing here. So that's great. It just also gives me the prior art and what actually are the features that have been come up and which are, speaking against the novelty in this case. And there's a reference, a sorting by the reference as well, some notes. So it's very easy to follow up. And if you scroll down, you see a kind of a timeline as well, and also the whole prior art that is here listed. And you can just copy the numbers if you want, and just take the evidence for this report if you want to share it with your colleagues. And if you scroll up, of course, there's a report as well. You can copy the whole text. You can share it with your colleagues, or if you want, you can attach it to the invention disclosure and the PDF document, which you don't need it you can just exchange it with your colleagues directly, and all the numbers are linked here as well. And if you click it, it opens also without an extra ID or password. So everybody who receives this report can just refer to the documents that are cited in this report. So very easy, very straightforward process you can have here, and that's specifically the idea, the charming solution here we have provided. So you can forward it to your patent attorney just as a starting point for a discussion, and so it's not a black box. I just want to mention it's not only the novelty search, but we also have, it's just a different viewpoint. It also works very simple in the same way. We have the invalidity search you can use here with our AI tools.
Okay. Jochen, with all that heavy novelty checking, we've lost your camera. Do you mind turning it back on?
I just pressed maybe the wrong button, but here I am.
Oh, good. I didn't want to interrupt you.
Finished with my, thank you for letting me know. So I just finished my my live demo, and so I just wanted to say that, so we wanted to make this idea not as a black box. So it's a first opinion grounded in data that respects the expertise of the people who use it, and that's one of the ideas, and that's what we mean actually with staying human. So AI accelerates the first step, and the human expert decides what to do next. So, but it's not only just about a fast and a quick search. It has also a broader impact on the innovation process. And I think one is what I want to point out first is the timing. And because IP awareness, it used to be in the past, coming, on the late stage of the innovation process, and sometimes even after a significant R&D investment. So the novelty checker can change that, so you can build IP awareness into the earliest stage of innovation. And screen ideas before you invest. So because if a concept has obvious novelty blockers, you want to know it as soon as possible, and perfectly, or especially, in the best case, of the whiteboard stage. There's also a kind of a democratization element here. So novelty search, it can be, or it has been in the past, someone requiring specialist skills, or you needed external support, and that creates a bottleneck. So now, as a non-patent specialist, engineer, scientist, you can run the first checks by yourself, and you get a fast, reasonable feedback on your own ideas. And I think that also changes how teams can align then internally. Because when you share this structured AI-generated report with your colleagues, management, or your IP specialist for an evaluation, you're not asking people to take your word for it. You're giving them something concrete, an objective and actionable opinion to react to. And this helps to transfer a conversation or a discussion into a decision. So, and ultimately, of course, it can shorten the road from the idea to filing. You can focus on the relevant cases, and you don't sit, or the invention doesn't sit on the queue waiting for the IP resources. So you can invest and assign resources with a much higher confidence. So this is a novelty checker. It's available. You can use it today. And but of course, we are not stopping here. So because what we are just shown you is actually the first step of a much bigger vision. So handing over to you, Katrin.
Yep, just give me a second. My slide deck is being uncooperative. There we are. So Jochen has showed you a an agent for searching. I will now show you a multi-agent system, and it's actually a full suite of different tools that we're launching this summer. Maya, which is the Minesoft AI assistant. It's a whole suite for agentic IP intelligence. And I will show you the novelty search part of this. And let me just quickly go into my system. So it's already integrated into Origin while we're doing the last bits of work. Again, I will show you the novelty report or the novelty workflow. Again, this is a whole orchestration of specialized agents that are doing the work for you, more or less. Let's have a look. One thing that I want to point out first of all is on the left-hand side, you see this panel here. So while the orchestration will do most of these steps, 10 steps in total until you've reached the report completely on its own, everywhere where you see these little flags indicated, that's where the human is important. That's where you are in the game. The system will ask for your permission. It will ask you to verify. It will ask you to screen certain steps. But let me just give you a bit of a teaser of how it actually works. Today, I want to check a invention that I've had before filing it. So choosing new filing in natural language, I will just populate my idea. And today I'm using a smart home security system that uses AI to screen for anomalies in case somebody wants to break into my house. We're already in the dialogue with the orchestrator of our multi-agent system, and it's asking me a couple of clarification steps before we actually kick this off. Do I want to go for that one novelty blocking document, so very narrow search focus, or do I want to go a bit wider, maybe also getting some insights about the inventive step of my invention? In this case, I'll go for the broader one, and you could also set a date range for this. Per default, because we're doing novelty, it's not necessary, so I'm just skipping this step. The first bit that the system asked me, because there's one of these flags in the workflow, is asking me to carefully consider my input. Yes, I want to do new filing. This is my invention, and I want to do a bit of a broader search approach. Kick this off, and you see that the system is actually now starting to work on the end-to-end workflow. It has very rapidly, 1.8 seconds, extracted the features of my invention. You can edit them, or you can delete them, or you can even add your own technical feature to be included in this. So I will confirm this. And as you can see now, the system is working. It is building a search plan based on our input. So the next step it will do, it will present to me a search strategy. Let's go through this just quickly. We're leveraging all of our capabilities. So the system will leverage our vector-based search, which searches for context rather than keywords, but we will also do a series of Boolean searches. All of them you can edit, delete them, or you can add your own search syntax or search step into the mix. Next, I will kick this off, and now these different agents, they will go back into our database. They will search all of these different search clusters, and then they will present back a number of patterns for me to review. As this is just a teaser, I'll be taking a shortcut here. Currently, our average from start to finish is around 5 minutes to go through all of these 190 million documents that we have on our database. Let's have a look at the result of this. Obviously, it's a report. In this case, I've chosen a dashboard. I get an assessment of how novel my invention was. I took it from a patent abstract and added a couple of things, so the system caught me there. It's not that novel, and it's giving me reasoning. We found one fully anticipating document, so all of my features have already been filed before. But it's not stopping there. It's giving me areas where I can focus on. So strength, for example, of my invention. And one thing that I want to point out, we have several more features here. My favorite one would be this feature to document mapping, where we see my 4 features and in which documents they are retrieved and to what extent. We don't just stop there. We give you the closest prior art matching per feature. And we also give you a combination of Y documents. So the ones that go towards my inventive step, would that have been obvious for a person to come up with if they just mixed and matched the documents in a smart way? And of course, you get result lists, and you'll be able to not just export this report, but you'll also be able to pop these numbers into Origin to use all of the functions that we have already in Origin. Phew, let me go back to my slide deck while my heart rate is stabilizing. 2 live demos in one short webinar. That was a bit of a risk, but Jochen, we made it.
Perfect.
Great. So again, the novelty checker that Jochen showed you, that's already live. We also have an invalidity checker, and those two are built for speed and triage. The bit that I've showed you, multi-agent approach, is launching in just a couple of weeks, and it will go for a more exhaustive step, so more depth. And Jochen, I think one thing that we need to touch on is what we can already see on this slide, data quality. It isn't just a background detail. I personally think in AI, it's kind of the main event. Jochen, you've been part of Minesoft for 22 years. What's your take on this?
Yeah, thank you, Katrin. So, I mean, I have to say, Minesoft is doing that a little bit longer, so already 30 years in this business. And so Minesoft has gained a lot of experience and understanding what happens when the data is not right and not complete. And it's a lot of experience, operate database and controlling the data feed from the different sources and patent offices. So we are talking about 110 countries, authorities, 190 million publications, and 83 jurisdiction at the moment. So this is something that has been built up over the time, and it was always the task of Minesoft to create the most complete database that is available. And with this comes also a big responsibilities, because we have over 100,000 registered users. And you can be sure that every time there's someone online, and if something is missing, they will let us know. So there's always a lot of work in this system to run it as stable as possible. Thank you.
I think personally that it matters even more when we're talking about AI layered on top of data, and even more so when it comes to an agentic context. I think global coverage alone isn't enough.
No, of course not. So we just not only taking the data, but there's a lot of work to do as well. So we index the data, so we are able to make it searchable. We have to normalize and harmonize the data as well, so that the AI agent actually can reason over this consistent and comparable records, regardless of its origin. And then, of course, there's Asia. China, Japan, Korea, they file a lot of data, and of course we need the machine translation. We also have to normalize it to make it available, as well as, for example, the legal status information that needs to be up to date, or citations, useful information, or necessary information for a powerful database. And we upgrade it twice weekly, and just not only because when the filing from 3 weeks ago could be a piece of prior art, actually that changes everything in your search.
Yeah, Completely agree. And here's a thing that I want you to take home from this. When AI is working on incomplete data, the records you don't have in your database, these are the answers that your AI cannot give you.
And that will happen if you have an AI agent, because it amplifies both the strengths but also the weakness of your data source. So with our experience, 25 years of daily quality, coverage expansion, and created data pipelines, all this data feeds directly in what you have seen today, the novelty checker, and of course Maya. And because in IP, the quality of your data is the quality of your protection. And that brings me to the end of our presentation, Katrin.
That was fast. So we started today by talking about what agentic really means. And I hope what's come through is that for us at Minesoft, it's never been about automating everything and making the human smaller. We're not removing the human from the equation at all, but it's taking the grind off your desk that slows you down, and it replaces it with options, and more specifically with tools that move at your pace. So when it matters, when a decision is needed, when the human mind and the human judgment needs to be sitting at the table, we're making sure you're not exhausted from days of searching. And whether that's fast triage with a novelty checker or invalidity checker, or a more deep and exhaustive campaign with Maya. Novelty checker live today, Maya coming in just a couple of weeks. Jochen, any closing remarks?
No, just great. Thank you very much for everybody joining today. And there's a short poll. So if you have a second to answer these questions, would be very much appreciated. And we are a little bit over time, but maybe we can pick a couple of questions. I've seen some.
Shall we squeeze in 2 short questions, Jochen? How about that?
Yes. Have you found anything?
Yeah. First one, really, really important. Do you mind answering, is my data safe?
Yes, of course. So it's running on our own server. So everything is safe. What you put in, we are not using it as any training information. And we have we call it the zero data retention. We have all our data centers in EU, and of course, if you want to do an audit before, we have our colleagues who can prove you that your data is safe. Definitely.
Just a really quick one, but an important one, and that comes up more often. If we already have internal AI systems or even agents, how can we use Minesoft data, so patent data?
Of course you can use it internally, and we have ways to provide this information. So there's the API, but also the MCP comes into my mind. So these model context protocol that makes it very easy to make our to provide the data and our search and agents into internal applications and workflows. Of course, you can do it.
Okay, I think that closes our session. Good thing is, if you've signed up to this webinar, we'll be automatically staying in touch with you. We'll keep you posted on our developments. If you want to reach us 24/7, support@minesoft.com, or you can reach Jochen and I individually with the email addresses on the screen. So wherever you are, enjoy the weather. Jochen, do you want some closing remarks?
I have to smile because I see one of the questions in the chat, so about PetBase. So just if it's available for PetBase users as well, of course it's available for everybody. So just reach out, come to us, and we are happy for the discussion. Sorry, Katrin, I just have to say.
No, it's an evergreen. It's good that we closed on that one. So have an amazing day, everybody, wherever you are, and see you in our next AI journey.
Okay, thank you very much.
Take care.
Goodbye. Take care.